Well, the economy is the top issue for many voters with just 38 days until the November 5th election. And as the nominees spend much of their time in battleground states, Bloomberg now suggesting that Harris may have an advantage, at least in one category. A headline out today saying, quote, the economy is outperforming in swing states. It's good news for Harris. As for Trump, he's weighing in on the economy today, too, actually arguing that Harris's border crisis is a bigger deal than inflation. Let's bring in global business consultant Hillary Fordwich, also with us, economist at the American Institute for Economic Research, Thomas Savage. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thomas, I thought that was pretty interesting what President Trump said today, that the border crisis is bigger than inflation. Why do you think he would say that? And do you agree with that?
I think he would say that because it's definitely on the forefront of his mind and, many voters' mind. But I think at the end of the day, it's really going to come down to the economy and not just economic growth like the GDP numbers that just got posted. We're also thinking of inflation as well, where if you're looking in, inflation adjusted median income really has not seen a lot of good growth. And folks are really feeling that in the grocery store, at the gas pumps, and every factor of life. So I think if push came to shove, it would come down to the economy and not necessarily other issues.
Hillary, I was discussing that soundbite with my producer, and I think maybe President Trump is onto something, because inflation, you can say it's transitory, it's because of this, it's because of that. Then you look at the gas prices, they've kind of gone down, and people don't realize how much more they're spending. But when you are seeing illegals at the gas station, when you are seeing brothels opening up in your neighborhood, like in Queens, right by a school, it feels like the border crisis is more tangible, more easily understandable, because we know how the border was handled under President Trump and how it's being handled under Kamala Harris and Joe Biden.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I think it's when people actually feel and touch things in their own community. And also the sad thing is, what we're not going to feel and touch now is what is actually happening in our communities, that the schools are going to be far stretched, that taxes are going to have to go up. Lots of the things, in fact, in terms of our Social Security, which is projected to go bankrupt in 2034, it's going to happen before then because we're providing the benefits to all these illegals. Unfortunately, we're not going to feel and touch those things right now, but they're impacting every single one of us. And with regard to the recent poll, Lydia, if I might just add, that was a Bloomberg poll. Who did Bloomberg just give another 20 million to? Democrats. He always funds the Democrats. Number two, who was predicted in the polls to be winning at this time in 2016? It was Hillary Clinton. So the polls are wrong. Last but not least, do you know what the #1 car purchased in the United States of America is? F-150 pickup trucks. Do you think those people are being polled? Absolutely not. So I don't put too much stock in the polls. Let's not have that hold up Republicans and keep them away.
Excellent point there. 2016, she was up not just by razor margins. Hillary Clinton was up by a lot. I remember polls 10, 15 points. Thomas, let's talk about the fiscal responsibility when it comes to taking care of the illegals. Here in New York City alone, in the past couple of years, $5 billion with a B. Right? They're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars, taxpayer dollars that are being used to take care of illegals. Meanwhile, you have everyday Americans struggling to make their car payments, struggling to make their utility payments, which have also gone up. So do you think that also is a factor in this race?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because, as I mentioned before, inflation adjusted earnings are not great. And so Americans are losing that purchasing power of their dollar. And what doesn't get eaten up by inflation is getting taken away by as Hillary mentioned, it's getting taken away by taxes. And in the latest GDP numbers, we've seen a lot of consumer spending getting juiced up by government handouts. And that's for anybody on the government dole, whether it's American citizens or non-citizens as well. And so the government, a big thing with fiscal responsibility is the government cannot keep that up forever. Inevitably, they're going to have to start making cuts. And it's when they start making cuts, either directly to state and local governments or to specific programs, that's when the people receiving the handouts, as well as the taxpayers, are going to feel the pinch, because you're going to get painful cuts and painful tax increases at the same time.
Hillary Fordwich, Thomas Savage, thank you both so much for joining us.
Pleasure. Thank you.